Welcome to our monthly angel connection, where each month we focus on one angelic force that governs the energy of the month or the zodiac sign. The purpose is not to simply learn about the angel, but to understand the specific spiritual frequency it represents so that we can consciously connect to that energy and activate it in our daily lives. In Kabbalistic teachings, angels are not beings with wings. They are frequencies of light, intelligent currents of consciousness that carry a precise function within creation. Each angel represents a specific spiritual force that influences our reality. One of these elevated forces is Angel Nazamiel, who activates our ability to communicate positively, even on the level of our inner dialogue. You want to welcome his support anytime you find yourself desiring more elevated conversation with yourself and others. Nazamiel governs the planet Mercury and is connected to the sign of Gemini. Gemini is deeply connected to communication, thought, language, duality, and the bridge between inner experience and outer expression. In a deeper sense, Gemini reflects the challenge of bringing the mind and the heart into alignment. That is why Nazamiel's energy is so connected to this teaching. It helps refine the way we think, the way we speak, and the way we listen. So communication becomes a channel for light rather than confusion, as specifically in our generation, in our world today, so much of our stress, pain, or feeling of missed opportunities are coming directly from not being able to communicate or sharing too much or fear of speaking up or confronting. And this can be all day with our children, parents, co-workers, in a restaurant, or when booking a flight. I'm sure it happened to you. It's almost like our head thinks a certain way and our heart feels different, and we get stuck. And it's interesting, as physically in our body, the distance between our head and our heart is so close, yet in reality it can be so distant and a challenge to bridge. And as a result, it becomes a pattern that makes us shrink, makes us introverted, makes us keep everything inside, sharing only with a small trusted few. We start pulling away from our families. We stay inside our comfort zones, even long after the summer is gone. We hold on to old habits, living with constant question marks. What could have been if I had spoken up? What might have happened if I had been able to communicate more? And even we do try to connect, sometimes we don't know how to understand the other side or how to clearly get our own message across. So what happens then? Studies shows that between 80 to 90% of the messages we try to communicate don't come across the way we intend. We want to express point A, but somehow the other person receives message B. And this simple gap affects everything. We struggle to build meaningful relationships. We stay in jobs we've outgrown, not because we're truly happy there, but because we've managed to build the basic communication system with the people around us. That's what keeps us stuck. Even when we know there's more to earn, more to enjoy, more to be elsewhere. And without it, we lose out on the kind of personal growth that leads to real happiness, true success, financial freedom, and the deep fulfillment we're all quietly searching for. We must always be in a state of growth. When we're closed off to outside communication, something dangerous happens. We get stuck in internal dialogue, looping the same thoughts over and over. We stop moving, not because we don't want to, but because we feel like we can't expose ourselves outwardly without truly understanding what drives us internally. We end up investing energy out of fear of what might happen, and nothing really comes of it. Why does this happen? Because of our personal gap in communication. We don't truly understand how people operate because we don't express ourselves properly. After all, communication is not only what we say, it's also what we hear. Also, our parents activated our belief system. For example, if you grew up in a family that criticism is the norm, you will criticize yourself and others, and you will most likely won't be a very happy person. If you grew up in a family where expression anger was forbidden, you will grow up either terrified of anger in anyone or you will swallow it. and it's going to be stuck in your body and have some tantrums once in a while. If you grew up being manipulated by guilt, either you'll constantly walk around saying, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, or you just can't ask anything straight. You learn to please, basically always looking to manipulate someone. And our parents' voice is playing in our head. It becomes ours. I know a lady who, when she was 15 years old and got her driver's license, was told by her mother, since you're dyslexic, never ever drive more than 30 minutes because you will get lost. Today, in her 50s, if she drives longer than 30 minutes, she starts second guessing herself and actually gets lost. So she'll take an Uber instead. The Kabbalists explain that consciousness is everything. And when we communicate, it's never what you say, only how. For example, I can say, I love you, and I can say, I love you. Passion or disgust, three simple words, yet completely two opposite connotations. The Kabbalists explain, the essence of the creation is to benefit us, the created. And what is the purpose of the created? To reveal the names and the expressions of the Creator. As humanity, we came to this world to influence and be less and less influenced. What does it mean? If I'm talking to you now out of anger, emptiness, need for attention, I come to take, not to share. There's no care. I might be right, but I'm already disconnected from the person in front of me. Happened to you? The whole purpose of communicating with your soul is to connect to people in a way that allows natural giving, where everybody's needs are getting met. In other words, to play the game called Life is Wonderful. Have you ever played that game? It's also easy to lose this game and instead enjoying this quality at any conversation or any interaction. We play in the game of who's right. Ever played this game? It's a game where everyone loses. The game of who's right involves two of the most vicious things humanity ever came upon. Number one, punishment. It's a guilt and shame induction. Number two, rewards. If you're wrong, you deserve to suffer and you receive a punishment. It's a guilt and shame induction. If you're right, you get a reward. In the game of who's right, we're talking the language of what we call the opponent language. What is the opponent language? It's a language of moralistic judgment. We think in terms of right, wrong, good, bad, normal, abnormal. We were all educated this way and so well trained that when things don't go as we planned or wish, and when people behave in a way we don't like, to cause people to hate themselves for what they did. For example, a parent can say to his child, say you're sorry. The child answers, I'm sorry. And the parent says, no, you're not. You're not really sorry. And the child, I'm so sorry. And the parent says, okay, I forgive you. Or a driver that is annoyed from the slow driver before him. For him to create a difference, as soon as he can, he will drive right next to him, look in his eyes and think, idiot. While theoretically expecting that driver to apologize and repent for the error of his wheels. Great theory doesn't work. Try that. What is the language of the soul and our heart? It requires to always bring consciousness of choice. We never do anything we don't choose to do. Of course, in life, as parents or at work, there are things we're obligated to do and must do every day that we hate. And guess what? When doing things that we hate, that energy transmits. For example, a mother who forces herself to cook every day and hates it, the kids won't enjoy that food and actually will feel relief if she'll stop. You see, everything we do in life that doesn't come from that energy of natural giving, of choice, we and everyone around us will pay for it. Anything we do out of fear of punishment if we won't do it, out of reward, do for the sake of others to love us, out of guilt, shame, duty, or obligation, everybody is going to pay for it. Because it's not what we're designed for. We are designed to give from the heart. Another example. That really hurts me when you say that. We will see that it's a violent act to imply that others can make you feel hurt or angry. So the first thing that is important to remember is that we can't teach anyone anything, and to have that as an objective creates problems. Let's not try to teach anyone anything or change anyone. If this is your objective, you will create resistance. So practically, someone behaves to you in a way you don't like. How can we create the quality of the connection that would get everybody's needs met through natural giving? First, ask the support of Angel Nazamiel, but we want to understand this is our objective. So I would like you to please think of someone in your life right now that behaves to you in a way you don't appreciate, you don't like, and it's difficult for you to communicate with him and change it. So think of a concrete behavior. What is the one thing they do? Very important. You were asked for an observation, which is a concrete behavior that they do. Please. Answers as, he has a big mouth. The question wasn't what's the size of his mouth. We normally give an evaluation and analysis that implies wrongness. We've been so trained to think in this way that sometimes we can't separate facts and opinions. All we see is our enemy image. We've been trained to think on enemy images and wrongness. We don't see our behavior, we only see our enemy image. Answers as, he has a big mouth, doesn't answer the question. I want to know, what did this person do? He talks too much. Is a judgment. I asked for an observation, not a judgment. To answer what this person does, we need to separate the behavior from the judgment. An answer of, he thinks he's the only one that has anything worth saying. You're telling me what he thinks. He thinks he's an evaluation of what you think going on in his head. I'm asking, what does he do? He wants to be the center of attention all the time. Is a judgment or a diagnosis of his motives, even if it's accurate. It's a diagnosis of his motives. It's not an observable behavior. The question is, what does he do? Words as blame is a judgment. That's already putting an evaluation. Sometimes the one who blames doesn't see himself as blaming. He thinks he's calling an attention to the fact, educating. If you have the word blame in your consciousness, it's going to change the whole energy when you're going to approach the other, because you're making a judgment on that person as blaming. The philosopher Christian Maltese said, to observe without evaluation is the highest form of human intelligence. Also, when you listen with your soul, it's impossible to hear any criticism, harsh marks, or insults. With hearing of the soul, all you can hear is the only thing human beings are ever saying. And what do you think it is? The only thing humanity are ever saying is please and thank you. Anything that sounds as criticism, judgment, or blame are simply tragic, suicidal expressions of please. So instead of saying yells at me, yells is an evaluation. You can say instead, raise his voice. Gets angry, diagnosis. It might sound to you he's angry, but for him, he's afraid in that moment. Refuses to do, refuses is a diagnosis. Maybe it's accurate, but it doesn't tell me what does he do. You can say, says no, I don't want to do it. That's the behavior. Speak loudly. It's a diagnosis. You can say louder than I would like. One stays seated after I told him to. It's a diagnosis. You can say doesn't when I ask him to stay in his seat. Any evaluation on others that implies wrongness is a tragic expression of an unmet need. It's tragic because it decreases the likelihood that we will receive what we want. Even if we're not saying it out loud, if we only think what the other person does wrong, it decreases the likelihood that we'll receive what we want and increases the likelihood for violence.
If you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Book now with me one-to-one session in angel coaching and communication coaching. To learn more, email or DM me. Enjoy the video.
For violence. Say the need. Learn a need consciousness. How do we evaluate a non-violent communication? We evaluate from the heart. We don't morally judge the person for what they did. And that requires two kinds of literacy, feelings and needs. Let's look at feelings. Imagine that you are talking directly to the person and express how you feel when the person acts in the way you described before. When you do this, I feel, and fill up the blank. Now, anger, anxious, frustrated, impatience, hurt, disappointed, scared, intimidated are all diagnoses, not a feeling. Be careful from words that are more descriptions of what you think they do to you. I feel misunderstood, used, manipulated, judged, criticized, ignored, the same. Didn't happen to you that you were outside and you saw someone from far you really didn't want to meet and they ignored you and you actually had a relief? Or in another incident, someone ignored you and that hurt. So words like that say very little what's alive in you. They say much more how you interpreted the behavior of the other person. And above all, never mistake the word rejected as a feeling. I feel rejected, that's not a feeling. That's a suicidal interpretation. Betrayed, same as intimidated and as ignored. It's more a diagnosis on the person than a feeling. I feel hurt because you're not listening to me. When you follow the word feel with the word because I think, anytime that you're thinking, your chance of receiving what you need is greatly decreased, especially that you follow the word think with the word you. It's a defensive, aggressive reaction. It will be very difficult for people to care about your feelings when you follow that with a diagnosis that implies wrongness. After the feeling, we don't go up to our head. We stay in the heart with feelings. We don't go up to our head. We stay in the heart and connect with needs. If we want to use nonviolent communication, we want to be sure we're not using feelings in a violent way, because feelings can either connect us in the heart or they can contribute to more division, separation, and violence. So how do we express needs and requests? We do not attribute responsibility for our feelings to the other person. So we certainly do not want to ever express our feelings in this way. I feel as I do because you. We never want to express our feelings in this way. You make me feel. It will be a very hard habit to get away from, because in an opponent culture, feelings are very instrumental in usage in guilt as a way to manipulate people. The way to manipulate people is if you can convince them that they make you feel as you do. Then they are supposed to feel guilty and change. So it's another form of this violent game. An example for a parent who want to use feelings in a violent way rather than in a connecting way. It really hurts me when you don't clean up your room, or you make me angry when you say that. One of the things we want to teach kids and ourselves is that you never lose track, that you're free to choose what to do. People can't make you do anything. No human being has ever done something they didn't choose to do. Sometimes we don't like our choices, but no one can make us do anything we don't choose to do. Instead, we are conscious that the root of feelings is needs. Behind every feeling there is a need. Now, certain feelings tell us that there is an abstraction in the way we think, that instead of us being connected to our needs, we're choosing very often to disconnect from our needs. For example, shame, guilt, depression, and anger. They all tell us that in this moment, I'm not directly connected to my needs. Instead, we're up in our head, telling ourselves moralistic judgment on ourselves or others. But we're not alive. Alive means connected to our needs. Needs contain no reference to specific ways of getting the needs met. Those are preferences, strategies, or requests. So we make a big difference between needs and preferences, requests and strategies. The goal, connect our feelings with a need without going to our head and think about the other person. The goal is to go into our heart and connect our feelings with our needs. Einstein said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. When people's full attention is on our needs, they hear no criticism or demand, and it's natural to enjoy sharing. The moment we hear any criticism or demand, we lose connection with that natural desire to share, and now we want to defend or attack. The definition of intelligence is not because you think you know everything without questioning, but rather because you question everything you think you know. So go back to that person you chose before that presently behaves in a way you don't like, and express your reasons for the feelings this way. When you do as I described, I feel as I expressed because I need, and identify what need of yours is not being met. Now, very important, without reference to the other person. So please leave the word you out of here, because that will mix up needs and preference. Leave the other person out of here. Just express the need without reference to the other person, please. Now, all needs are universal. All humanity has the same need. We're all created out of the same energy. The only difference is the strategy we were educated to meet that need. For example, instead of saying, I have a need to know that you are responsible, you can say, I have a need for your happiness and protection. What is the trap? When we believe that our needs involve another person doing something, we then take a very abundant world and make it very quickly very scary. Abraham Lincoln said, I don't like that man, I must get to know him better. So we don't want to mix up our needs and requests. Examples for the wrong way of expressing our needs. A woman told her husband, I don't want you to spend too much time at work. And what did he do after? He signed up to golf tournament. A teacher asked his student, please, I don't want you to tap on your books while I'm talking. What did he do? Started to tap on his desk. Saying what we don't want doesn't make it clear what is it we do want. It's only when we get those two questions clear. Number one, what do we want people to do? Which is action language. Number two, what do we want their reasons for doing it? In a positive and with love. For example, a woman told her husband, I want you to listen to me when I talk. The husband answered, I do listen. And she said, no, you don't. And the husband said, yes, I do. And they had this beautiful conversation for 11 years. So go back to the person you chose before that behaves in a way you don't like, and try to identify what specific action do you want this person to take. And very important, you can't use the verb to be. Express your request this way. I would like you to, and say, what would you like that person to do to meet your needs? Saying, let me, not doable. Give me, let me, allow me, not doable. It's okay to say I'm disappointed, just don't say you disappointed me. At the end of the feeling, there should always be a request. We don't just say I'm disappointed. We must take responsibility for asking what is it we want given the other person has this other need. What do you want them then from that person? As long as people hear our request as demands, they have now two choices, submission or rebellion, and neither will connect us in a way that benefits either one. So, to summarize, we need to know how to say please in ways that makes it enjoyable to people to give it to us. How to do it? Learn to say what you feel and what you need, and make a clear request. Ask Angel Nazamiel strength to make sure that no word that comes out of your mouth imply wrongness on the other part of the person. Do everything in your power to promote trust in people. And when you make a clear request, it's not a demand. And that will increase the likelihood that people will enjoy giving to you. And it doesn't mean you have to agree with that person's values or beliefs or hug them. That's sympathy. What we really want is tactical empathy. And I will end with this profound quote by Friedrich Nietzsche. You have your way, I have my way. As for the right way, the correct way, the only way, it doesn't exist. And now let's move from understanding into practice. Let's invite the light of Angel Nazamiel to support us, to refine our thoughts, elevate our words, and align our communication with our soul. Please sit comfortable. You can look above eye vision and slowly close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and slowly exhale. Again, inhale light and exhale tension. bring to your awareness to your throat center and the center of communication, expression, and truth. Feel the space of your voice, feel the bridge between your heart and your mind. And now visualize a soft, luminous light descending around you. This is the frequency of Angel Nazamiel, a force of elevated communication, inner clarity, and conscious speech. Silently say, Angel Nazamiel, help me refine my thoughts, purify my words, and elevate my inner dialogue. Help me communicate from truth, from compassion, and from the light of my soul. Now imagine this light entering your throat, clearing confusion, fear, hesitation, self-judgment, and reactive speech. Feel this light traveling upward in your mind, calming, racing thoughts, reducing inner conflict, and softening the critical voices you may carry within. Now feel this light moving downward into your heart, opening sincerity, courage, compassion, and clarity. See a bridge of light between your head and your heart. This is the work of Gemini at its highest expression. Not divided thought, not split communication, but alignment. Now bring to mind one area of your life where communication feels blocked, painful, confusing, or incomplete. Without judgment, simply observe it. Ask yourself silently, what am I truly feeling? What do I truly need? What would it mean to speak for my soul here? Now imagine yourself in that conversation, but this time with Nazamiel's support. See yourself speaking clearly. See yourself listening deeply. See yourself choosing words that connect rather than divide. See yourself communicating with dignity, care, and truth. Now repeat silently, my words carry consciousness. My voice can create healing. My thoughts can become a channel of light. I welcome the support of Angel Nazamiel. I choose communication with soul. Take a deep breath in and slowly exhale. And when you're ready, gently come back and slowly open your eyes. If this resonates with you and you want to actually get better in communicating, especially in stressful or emotional situations, I invite you to my one-to-one Communication with Soul coaching. This is where we work in a very practical, deep way on how to express yourself clearly, understand others better, and stay grounded even when conversations feel difficult or overwhelming. Because learning how to connect with people the right way isn't just helpful, it changes your relationships, your opportunities, and your entire experience of life. Wishing you all a meaningful and connected month of Sivan, Gemini, where communication becomes clearer, calmer, and more effective in every area of your life. Thank you and see you next month.